might be useful is you're all contractors, is that correct? You're masonry contractors. So you know what a brick is, I don't need to tell you that, but contract, the second half of it, it's the other thing you do. You're giving the contracts all the time. Because what is a contract? You like to volunteer? What's a contract?
Agreement between
yeah, agreement, right. Now, your biggest problem is, what is the agreement? What you've just agreed, your contract, what is it? When you've just got this job and you've got a contract. Okay, what is the contract we're talking about? What is it? That's one of the biggest problems. Right? Now it starts off, there's a couple of simple things that a contract has to have. And there's three main elements. There needs to be an offer that's accepted, right, for some consideration. They call it the third thing, consideration. That means something of value. So if you agree to do something, someone makes an offer, someone accepts it, and then something gets exchanged. So if you actually do have an offer and acceptance for nothing, no value, nothing's moving, it's not a contract. What you find, knowing what is the offer and what has been accepted, when's there an acceptance, is pretty important. Because you'll all experience where a builder may send you some documents, and it might have plans and specifications, but also it might have a draft contract and some conditions, whatever, and you respond to that and give them a price. Right? Now, what you're technically doing, you're throwing back, and the builder will like you, to say, you're going to give me a price based on these documents I've thrown at you. In other words, I've told you the form of the offer I want you to give me. So that's when you get documents given to you and you're asked to tender. Right? Then the builder doing that, or a principal if you're working as a head contractor, is saying, I want offers to do the brickwork in this project in this format. I want it to have these conditions, and I want it to be on these plans and this amount of this work. See, that's what they're doing. They're asking for offers from you guys as contractors. So what you throw to them as an offer, you have to decide, what actually did I offer? Now, if you technically, you should refer in your offer, your tender, what you are offering by saying it's based on these plans and these specifications, plan numbers and revision numbers. The most fundamental thing you should do, make sure you're referring to what version. And then, if you don't refer to their general conditions or anything else, then their offer's probably just to build that product, this bit of brickwork in this room, on whatever thing's in your letter. Right? If you refer to them sending out a bunch of documents or some letter that they've sent to your email with a whole lot of documents attached and other stuff, then your offer's probably your price plus all those conditions. That becomes the offer the builder's looking at. If he writes back and says, yes, I want you to do the job, he's accepting your offer. But if he writes back and says, this plus this extra, what he's done is created a counter offer. Right? Then it's up to you as the contractor, do you accept the counter offer from the builder? Now that simple scenario of what is the last offer that was accepted is critical in most situations when you have a contract dispute. You first got to work out what is the contract. What's in, what's out, what's excluded and what's not. Right? So a very important first golden rule is just be clear about what you're offering and be definite, and then be clear about when someone's accepted you or who's accepted who, right? And by that I mean it has to be an unconditional acceptance. So if someone writes back, I accept your price of so and so for this work, and here's, I want this, and you'll have to do this, and you have to do that as well. See how that's not an acceptance. He's turned around and made another offer. And what often happens is you start work on site. And that's acceptance by performance. You don't even have to write anything. You can, by the correspondence happening, you start work, it indicates you've accepted that the contract has been formed. And very often that's the point. The point you start work is very often a very critical point when there hasn't been a very clear offer and an acceptance. So always be careful. When you start work on site, just make sure you know what your contract is. Because there'll be a contract formed just by the fact you start work.